Hey everybody, welcome back to Extra Points. After a little break, I got out of here for spring break last week.
See ya.
I'm sure 4 or 5 of our 12 viewers also did. So we're going to try a little something different this week.
Your co-host did not.
Sports writer John Barry over here is going to help me get caught back up. He's going to help you get caught back up if you missed some things over the last 2 weeks. Obviously, spring sports, we had some rainy periods that messed things up. We had a manhunt, which took its toll on some area things,
Yep.
So we got makeups going on. But I guess just some things from the past week or two that have caught your eye. Where do you want to start?
Well, and I talked about this in a commentary I did, but it's just one of the weirdest weeks I've ever seen. It started out with the game you covered where Parker played 16 innings, followed by a game after that. And then
Craig playing till almost midnight.
And then 2 days later, the nut job got loose and really affected things both on and off, I think, the playing fields, because I think you saw anything at Parker and Craig athletically, they weren't allowed to practice, play games, or anything starting on Wednesday. So you went Thursday, Friday, and the weekend without practicing, and Parker and Craig, softball and baseball, both played on Monday and all lost, and all three coaches said the same thing. He said, we haven't practiced or done anything since last Wednesday, and it made a difference, and I'm sure it did. And fortunately, they caught the man, and things are kind of back to normal. But just a very strange week area-wise. But like I say, I think we're back now to where things will get back to normal. We've got some busy weeks coming up. You and I talked about next Tuesday probably being our busiest.
2 weeks from this Tuesday, yeah.
This Tuesday is our busiest high school days, at least sporting event-wise, that we'll see all year. So, but in the meantime, a lot going on this week as well. I got a chance to see Janesville Craig's baseball team again, and they're as good as advertised. They're undefeated and ranked number 1 for a reason. And then in the area, in the smaller schools, Jefferson now ranked number 1 in Division II. Beloit Turner ranked number 4, and those two teams will play tonight as we videotape this, and should be a very, very good. Not early season, but I guess
it's still pretty early.
Yeah, a third of the way through the season. We'll know a little bit more. I don't think there's any question Turner's not going to have too much trouble winning the Rock Valley South, and Jefferson's certainly the favorite in the North. So a good game, a good test, and I expect a pretty good pitching matchup as well.
That's kind of where things stand baseball-wise. Parker trying to get the bats going a little bit.
Yeah.
I think as they kind of get going here this season. Obviously, things have been, like you said, weird practice-wise, game-wise. Maybe if they can find some sort of normalcy here, that they can get the bats going a little bit. In softball, I think Craig's kind of been the story a little bit there too. Undefeated in Big 8 play at least.
Yep.
2 losses in non-conference games, but they look like they're on the path to try to defend that Big 8 conference championship.
And they do, and they're so strong up the middle. Kennedy Cox, a 3-year starter at catcher, Jenna Brandt, the reigning player of the year in the Big 8, and Hannah Helverson at shortstop, and really just a very good combination that defensively they're strong. And then when you look at their batting order, Helverson led off a game last week, first pitch for a home run. Jenna Brandt hits the ball hard every time, and I think the one girl that really has really stepped up this year is Julia Humphrey, first baseman who's batting cleanup and really hitting the ball hard right now. And Coach Bayrider's got a nice lineup there. Again, they lost to Wanakee, in a Monday game last week. But again, he said, we hadn't been on the field. We didn't have that urgency that it's going to take when we play good teams. And they bounced back with a couple of wins after that, including an impressive win over a Middleton team that, Coach B said is not going to lose a lot of ball games. So I think the Cougars certainly head in the right direction. I think when you look at Parker, again, with Chelsea Neighbor going down right now, the pitching is the problem for them. They're just not. I don't think they're throwing enough strikes, and they're certainly not hitting the way that Steve Heilman's hoping that they can. But again, as the weather heats up, maybe their bats will heat up just like the baseball team, and that's what you got to hope for, because both of those teams right now, we're talking Parker softball and baseball, struggling to find the win column.
I think there was a time last week, there was a day where Turner got a no-hitter in baseball and softball on the same day.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Those are the kind of the storylines, I guess, from the Diamond that I have kind of taken away to this point of the year.
Yep.
Obviously, we're really just kind of hitting stride here a little bit.
Quick shout out to the Janesville Craig girls soccer team.
Yeah.
Cougars 4-0 and have not allowed a goal yet.
That's. I mean, I don't think they.
They're not.
They would tell you they haven't played the hardest non-conference
They haven't
schedule.
played the Big Eight. Hasn't started yet, but
when
still,
you haven't even given up a goal,
you haven't given up a goal. And I think their last game, whomever they beat, I don't remember who it was, one shot on goal for the other team,
Really?
so or one save for the keeper. So the Cougars, they're young, but this is a group and a class that has been playing together for a long time at a pretty high level in some pretty good tournaments as they've been growing up. And the rock football, as they like to call it, is starting to pay dividends. And again, we'll see once they get into the Big Eight, because obviously West was a state runner-up last year. Sun Prairie's very good, senior-laden team. Verona, is going to be good every year. Middleton's going to be good. So once the Cougars get into the Big Eight schedule, we'll know a little bit more about them. But right now, so far so good with that young group.
Yep, soccer is always one that gets started a little bit later than everything else. Golf kind of too, as we wait for the weather to turn. But they've gotten out there a couple times, and I think Parker with still a group that's not super veteran laden, but looks pretty darn good. They shot a 335 on Monday at Blackhawk Country Club, which is a pretty respectable score on a good, solid course.
Yeah, and talking to assistant coach Sam Van Gelder, who's a 5 or 6 time city champ himself, he said within the next couple of years, this team is good enough to make a run at state. And they're young, they're sophomores pretty much, and I think he's right. And certainly working under Sam and his knowledge of the game and what that team might be able to do, again, a good start for them. We'll probably know a little bit more about the Vikes at the Ashenfelter, because that's really a mini state meet with the groups and the teams that they get in for that. So with the likes of Arrowhead and Racine Park and some other schools that are going to be there, a good test for the Vikings on their home course.
They start conference play this week. Craig as well, which there's. I think the Craig scores are. They're in the 350s.
Yeah, they're certainly respectable. Yeah,
a decent place to start, and I think everybody hopes he takes some of those strokes off as the year goes along. And then I think we should give a shout out to Edgerton, a Division II team that played in that same tournament, Edgewood tournament, was I think in the top 5 with a lot of these big time, pretty good Division I teams. They were up there in the top 5 as a Division II team, and so Jackson Erickson I think paced them on Monday, and that'll probably be a team to watch.
I think certainly that's a program the last 4 or 5 years has been pretty consistent, and consistent in the sense that they've been pretty good, and I don't think this year's any different for them as well. And I think when as we talk a little bit about track and field, which again really hasn't gotten into the Friday night invite portion of their schedules yet. An early shout out to Jackson Enns and Bethany Orn or Ashlyn Orn.
Ashlyn Orn at Edgerton, yeah.
And Jackson Enns at Bigfoot. Both of them rank in the top 2 or 3 in the state for all divisions. Orn in the long jump I think has the best jump of the season, and I think Jackson Enns in the 110 high hurdles is second. And both of them are juniors, and so a good start for them. The Edgerton girls got a lot of speed. They also have the top time in the state in the 4x100. So be curious to see how things pan out. And I know Janesville's got some good athletes as well, and we'll know more about them the next couple of weeks with the Parker Invitational on Friday night for the girls, and then the Cougar Relays the following Friday for all 4 of Janesville's teams.
It's always so hard early on.
Yeah, it is.
Just kind of keep track, and you don't know who's run on days where it's actually been kind of nice, or who's put up some of these times when it's not been very nice out.
What's indoor, what's been outdoor, yeah.
It's kind of hard to know, but certainly a good start for a couple athletes who have already had some solid success at state for both Enns and Orrin. And, it's always fun. Obviously, those are names we knew even going in because they have had success at state, but you learn a couple more along the way too that you just didn't know about.
Yeah, so. Beaumont kid from Clinton who has pole vaulted 13.7 early on. So again, yeah, that's what it is. I sometimes get a kick out of looking at the state rankings because that's exactly where you find these kids from our area that maybe we didn't know about or we didn't hear about, and that's kind of what I did today. And lo and behold, there were quite a few kids from the area that are in the top 10 statewide in a number of events. So good to see.
Spring's always weird. Obviously, I think most people are wrapped up with spring break now by this point.
I think so, yeah.
I think. But, I saw some post by Sun Prairie where we're only like 40 days away from graduation. So it goes fast. We try to just hold on and enjoy the ride and learn as much as we can. So if you know somebody out there or a story that we're missing here in the early goings, we do our best to keep up during the crazy spring season, which feels like it's about 6 weeks long. But if you know of something that we're missing out on, and certainly let us know.
Yep,
you can email us sports@gazetteextra.com. Leave a comment anywhere along here or find us on Twitter, and we'll just hang on and enjoy the ride here for
right.
the next
Go
couple of
Brewers.
weeks as things get going. We'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody.